Hi there, Austining. It's Mayor Victoria Gearity coming to you this Friday afternoon, just a little before 3:30 in the afternoon. And I'll try to keep my update brief, although I will say for some reason this Friday was full of virtual meetings with folks from the community and across the region. So I wanted to offer you a little bit of the takeaways that I had from those meetings. We do have an update on our census numbers. There was an uptick in the people who responded to the census in Austining and in several communities, but we're still only at the 45% of properties of households having responded. So there's still a ways to go on that front. And that was one of the topics of discussion in my first virtual meeting today, which was hosted by Neighbors Link and several stakeholders from across the community. And we did talk, among other things, about census responses and how incredibly important that is, and the work that they've been doing, making phone calls to Spanish-speaking members of our community to walk people through the process. And I'm going to be coming to you with more information on that front. Also, what I hope to have to share with you early next week is an Austining resources page that staff members from the manager's office, thank you very much to Maddie Zahatch and to Jamie Hoffman for putting together in one document so many of the resources that are available to Austining residents. So many organizations have been stepping up, providing services to people in our community who are in desperate need right now with the inability to leave our homes, with the inability to earn a living. There's so many challenges for us right now, and it's impressive to see the amount of resources that are available. And so it's critical that we make sure that everybody has access to those resources and can help us make those connections with folks who need them most right now. So stay tuned. I will be sharing that resource guide as soon as it is ready to go. You've heard me share elements of it on this daily update. You also can see elements of it, things along the lines of the food pantry and other resources, if you're following the Village of Austining's Facebook page, which I sometimes also share onto my mayor's page as well. But putting all of that material, all of that contact information into one document will certainly be helpful as you either yourself or you become aware of someone in the community who is in need of support. And our needs are increasing, particularly the longer that people are unable to earn a living. The call that I was on after Neighbors Link was about economic development regionally, and so it was different leaders in different sectors of our local economy, and it actually kicked off with Dr. Amler from the County Department of Health, who had just sort of the same messages, but it never hurts to reinforce them, and understanding that all the increases that we're seeing in people using masks, people were already doing it, and now the governor has required that people do it, both in the workplace and for all of us out in the community, if you're going to be within 6 feet of anyone, to wear a mask. And those masks are not to protect you from other people. When you are wearing a mask, you are protecting others from yourself, so that if you sneeze or cough, that you're not spreading your germs to anyone else. And part of what is so difficult about this disease to contain is even if you're feeling perfectly healthy, you may be a carrier. So we ask that you please abide by those rules and understand the importance of wearing either a mask or a cloth face covering anytime you are going to be out in public where you may be within 6 feet of someone. Obviously, washing your hands, avoiding touching things. So if you are taking an elevator, using your knuckle to press the button instead of your fingertips, things along that nature. And then if you do have to touch a doorknob, to immediately wash your hands. She was not advocating for gloves, perhaps because just walking around touching everything with gloves on unless you're washing the gloves, you're actually just continuing to spread the virus. And then you might touch your face with the glove, which doesn't necessarily provide you any greater protection. So hand washing is still incredibly important. And she pointed out that there's not a shortage of soap, even if you're having difficulty getting hand sanitizer. And of course, social distancing. And there are so many rules about social distancing that you can find on the County Department of Health website. But what she did let us know is what they tell people when people are notified that they have received a positive test result. They are asked all of the people that they've had contact with, and to notify anyone that they've had contact with within X number of days, and if necessary, to provide any information to the county if they'd like the county to reach out to those people to let them know that they have had contact with someone who has tested positive. And that's that tracing of contact tracing is something you're going to hear more and more about as we figure out, and when I say we, I mean the very collective we at higher levels of government, how to recover from this and re-engage in our communities, or and getting testing up to the capacity necessary to have very widespread testing, so we know exactly how much of the population, or have a much better sense of how much of the population has contracted and recovered from the disease and has the immunity to it now, and then being able to do contact tracing to know if you've tested positive, who you likely could have spread it to, so that we can contain the virus. And that is continuing now, and the county is our agency that leads that effort. We do not have a village Department of Health. The county handles that for us. It's always good to hear from the doctor in charge of that department. The other thing that she did mention is while there is an effort for more testing of potential treatments for the virus, that is an effort that's still underway and they're still pushing for. But the one thing that they have seen some progress with is the plasmapheresis. So somebody who has already had the virus and is no longer and is recovered from the virus, they can donate their plasma. And that convalescent plasma is then used as a treatment for someone who is to treat patients to help them in their recovery, and they have found some success with that. So it's interesting to see that there is at least one treatment that is finding some success, and we're very pleased to hear that. There was also a report updating us on things going on in Albany, and of course we all get to hear from the governor every day if we'd like to. But one of the things that they've done in their budget this year that's different than usual is allowed for a month-to-month review of where are the revenue streams, and that's something that we may end up putting into place. We'll see how it goes in local government as well. We plan a budget every year, and the budget is our plan for the year. We don't necessarily spend every penny. In fact, we never spend every penny exactly how we planned to in the budget, but it's important to have a budget, to have an expectation of what we are going to be spending money on in the coming year. But at a time when there is so much uncertainty, all of our predictions for what will be the revenues are so very unknown, that the governor and the legislature in Albany have preserved the ability to reevaluate on a monthly basis as we start getting the returns for what are the actual revenues coming into state government for them. So we'll have to see how that goes in Albany. We work on a calendar year, so we have until December to vote on our budget, but our staff is going to be, by August, September, they're going to be working on their departmental budgets. So we'll have a little bit more of a sense by then on where we're going to land on this, but still the recovery is going to be, as we are seeing now and starting to come to understand, it's going to be in stages. What that means for when do people actually go out and buy things so that we have sales tax revenue that can be distributed to the villages, we will have to see when that gets back up to pre-virus levels, or if it does. So many of our businesses are struggling very dire positions that they're in, and we'll see who makes it out of this. The federal government put out a couple of programs that were intended or are intended to help small businesses. That money is starting to make its way to the small businesses, but the money ran out. We'll see if the federal government renews the funding for those programs next week. Bridget Gibbons, who is the head of economic development for the county, is optimistic that the federal government will do that by next week. We will see. It will mean the difference between many of our local businesses being able to survive this or shutting their doors. And we've worked so hard in Ossining to welcome new businesses and to see a more vibrant business community in Ossining. Something like this is certainly not something you can plan for. And if the federal and state government can find a way to help small business owners maintain their businesses, then maybe we've got a shot at being able to truly reopen at some point in Ossining. But right now, it's pretty discouraging. I know it's pretty discouraging for folks at all levels. The only other thing that I wanted to update folks on was, I guess, we had our Office of Emergency Management meeting with staff. Things in village and town government are running pretty smoothly for considering it. They've established a lot of new requirements, a lot of new practices. The use of masks and taking temperatures we already had, a lot of that in place, and kudos to our personnel team and all of the leaders in the different departments for implementing safe work environment practices as safe as possible under these conditions, because so many of our workers are essential workers and still are reporting to work each week. And I'll just end on an update for our village board meeting for next week. Next week is our fourth Wednesday. It will be our work session, and traditionally the village board, frequently we have a dinner meeting on the fourth Wednesday of the month. Village board members, elected officials, we cannot legally meet in a group of 3 or more and discuss anything to do with the village, unless it is a publicly noticed meeting. And so we do that once a month, usually get a pizza and talk for about an hour and 15 minutes before we join the staff for the regularly programmed formal work session agenda. And that's an opportunity for us to touch base with each other, to move forward some of the conversations of what are our priorities, what do we want to be asking staff to work on, what is each of us might have something that we particularly care about, but we have to be mindful that when you're a team of 5, that the team of 5 has to agree that if there's a particular project or priority that we have, that we are speaking as one voice rather than all 5 of us. Imagine if you had 5 bosses. We have, our village manager, our police chief, and our head of legal services, our corporation counsel. They all report directly to us as a team, so it's important that we as a team are able to give them a shared, to say marching orders would be silly, but identifying of priority. So part of it's that, and part of it's just the ability to touch base and have some sort of connection to each other as a team of elected officials representing our community. And right now, that's largely asking the question, what can we do to support our staff and the essential workers that are out there every day, and to support our community and provide you with whatever updates, information we can, and to make sure that we are all hearing from you and understanding how the village government can support you at this very difficult time. So we will begin our conversation at 6 o'clock. If you'd like to tune in and view that the link is now out on the agenda, which is at villageofossining.org. And then sometime shortly before 7:30, we will transition to what will be our formal agenda. And at 7:30, we will have a special presentation in honor of Earth Day. Next Wednesday is actually Earth Day, and we have invited Aaron Spring to join us, and we are going to highlight some of the great work that he's been doing, cleaning up our community every Sunday for months now, and inspiring so many other folks to help clean up Ossining. It demonstrates just how much what a difference one person can make in inspiring others if you're willing to dedicate some time and really love your community. And so we're excited to celebrate that. All right. Thank you very much for staying connected with each other, and I appreciate hearing from so many of you. We do not have the numbers yet today of who has of the positive cases for us here in Ossining. As of yesterday, it was 547. I can tell you it's going to be higher than that today. And the actual numbers are certainly much higher. In a call earlier this week with Lindsay Farrell, the head of Open Door, she just reminded us that the approach that you should use when engaging with anyone is just assume that everyone that you meet is a carrier of the COVID-19. There's really no way to know because so many people are asymptomatic. So behave as if everybody that you engage with may have the virus. It's a very strange time in our lives to see each other that way. But it is essential for our safety and for our larger community that we stay home, wear your mask, stay safe, and if you are able to get out there and help by picking up groceries, picking up food for your neighbors, or supporting a local business in some way. If you still have an income and you can support a local business rather than ordering from a distant mega company, then I know that is very much appreciated by all of our local business owners who are keeping their doors virtually open, or at least with curbside delivery and delivery to your home. Have a great weekend, folks. I will probably tune in once this weekend just to update you on any further news that I get from our staff and things that are going on. If you have any questions you'd like me to address, then please email me at Gearity@villageofossining.org. Thanks. Bye-bye.